I'm Karen Suckney, editor at Healthcare Packaging Magazine, here with an episode of Asked and Answered. Our topic today is a really serious one. Counterfeit pharmaceuticals are a dangerous problem in the industry, particularly with the rise of online pharmacies. While the FDA and other agencies work to fight the distribution of illicit products, both domestically and internationally, counterfeit drugs pose serious threats to public health and to brand reputations. Today, I'm joined by Ken Sickles, Chief Product Officer at Digimarc, to talk about anti-counterfeiting strategies, including why multiple layers of security on pharmaceutical packaging are so critical. Digimarc is known for its product digitization technology, providing unique identities and digital verification for pharmaceuticals, retail, and more. Ken, it's great to have you here today, and thinking we can just go ahead and jump right in. So, why do you say that now is so crucial for pharmaceutical brands to boost anti-counterfeit package protections?
In the pharmaceutical industry, the more advanced technology gets, the easier it actually becomes to create counterfeit packaging for materials. And with the advances we're seeing with generative AI and with just tools in general, Photoshop, everything else that you can use to recreate this packaging, I think it's easier now than ever to create counterfeit materials. And as these new capabilities emerge, we're seeing a huge increase in these. In fact, the World Health Organization says, I think, nearly 10% of all medical products imported from low and middle income countries are either substandard or completely fake. And as people move to buy more of these products from non-traditional sources, and they go online and they order products from websites, it's harder to actually have the product in front of you. It's easier to create an illusion of trust and security on a website than it is from a physical store of some type. So it's just increasing the risk to people in general as a result of it being easier to create the packaging and the fake products. The easier it is to get to people to try to sell them those products. So now is the time that I think pharmaceutical companies have to get even more serious than they have been in the past about trying to fight the counterfeit market and trying to do their best to ensure patient safety.
I remember being at a security conference many years ago, and they were remarking that the bad actors don't have regulatory hoops to jump through. They can evolve so quickly because they have all day. They don't have to worry about the same things that manufacturers worry about. Why should pharma brands add yet another security layer?
Well, security around packaging and products and preventing counterfeits is very much like information security, right? So, can you imagine if the only thing you had protecting your servers was just one single firewall, right? That would be unheard of today. It's there's an approach in information security that's all about the more layers you have, the better you are. And each of those layers should be complementary as well. So serving different purposes, and with any luck, the layers can even kind of intermingle and know things about each other so that they can tell if something has happened to one layer, maybe you can pick that up in another layer. And I think when you look at the majority of anti-counterfeit techniques or layers that we see today, many of them are analog. So a holographic sticker, for example, or those invisible security inks, right? Those things are disconnected from everything else, and they are great layers of security in and of themselves, but they don't necessarily connect to the other layers. Number one, and number two, those things actually, believe it or not, you can buy those holographic stickers on Alibaba, for example, right? So there's some availability of those sorts of protection techniques. And not to mention that they're kind of costly, right? Because every hologram sticker you put on something, there's a cost to each and every one of those. So your per unit costs tend to go up. So the opportunity to have another layer of security that is, instead of being analog in nature, but perhaps digital in nature, is, I think, a very unique opportunity to strengthen an overall system of security to prevent counterfeits. And of course, it doesn't impact per unit costs either. We could talk about that more in a little bit, but when you can when you can have digital protection layer as part of your strategy, then what you can actually do is, connect that digital layer to the internet and to a lot of different technologies that are in people's hands today. So, for example, a security ink, that requires special lighting and special equipment to read the ink and, oh, is this right or not? When here at Digimarc, our technology is called a digital watermark, and any sophisticated, not even sophisticated, any camera today can actually interact with our watermarks and detect the watermark. And once you've done that, then what happens is you connect that package to its digital twin. And the digital twin is this really, really super smart thing that knows everything about that package. And it can say, ah, yes, I recognize that watermark. I recognize the information that is carried in that watermark. Maybe here's a picture of what the package should look like. Maybe here's where this package was actually shipped. Are you in that same location? So since it is digital in nature, you can have all of this extra information associated with that layer of security that the other layers of security don't have. Unlike the other security layers, a digitally native security layer, you actually have control over who can interact with it. So if you decide that only people inside your organization, only your inspectors who are out in the field can access it, that's great. Or you can decide, no, only my third party my third party agents can access this technology, or I'm going to also allow customs to access this technology, or I will allow pharmacists to access this technology. So you have control in the distribution of who gets to use that layer of security as a mechanism to determine authenticity. And I think that's really unique about a digital layer as compared to some of these analog layers. A native digital layer, right, like digital watermarks and digital twins, can put the power of authenticity in the hand of the customs inspector much, much quicker than some of the other mechanisms. So they can actually see, yes, the digital watermark is present. It tells me there should be a hologram. I see that. I have a picture. I actually now also have the shipping log from this item. So I know exactly when it was produced, where it went, how it got here. I have all of this evidence right in front of me on this app on my phone. I'm pretty sure this is an authentic product, so they can move it through customs.
What specifically should pharma brands be concerned about in terms of counterfeits?
Yeah, the biggest thing is reputational damage, right? So, pharmaceutical companies need trust with their consumers, with their customers, like pharmacists and doctors, as much, probably way more so than a lot of other industries need. So any reputational damage that is done to the brand probably reverberates through that brand much more so than with other industries. And I think, losing credibility in the pharmaceutical industry is difficult to recover from, because the first thing people are going to ask is, why weren't they taking more steps? We're talking about health and human safety here. Like, this should be the most secure product I buy.
Can your technology also help fight other forms of fraud? How does that play into it?
Yeah, great question. So as I mentioned way early on when we first started chatting, one of the places that we see a proliferation of counterfeit material finding its way to consumers is online. And the cool thing about our digital twins and our digital watermarks is they work with digital media as well. So imagine, when you're buying some sort of pharmaceutical product online, even a bottle of vitamins or an over-the-counter product online, whoever is selling that to you is probably going to use some sort of imagery, right, to help sell that product. Our technology could actually tell the buyer, hey, this image is from an authorized pharmaceutical company, and the person you're buying it from has been authorized to sell it on this site. So since our digital watermarks work in the online world, maybe we can stop some of the distribution before it actually happens into the physical world, right? And again, I think that's a great way to stem the tide of counterfeit goods out in the market.
Well, I think that's all the time that we have today, Ken, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming on to chat with me today.
We're on a mission here to make the world a more prosperous, safer, and sustainable place. I could talk about it all day long. So thanks for having me on, Karen.